Guys, over the weekend, Nick Chubb retired from the NFL after 8 seasons, many of which were with the Cleveland Browns. His best seasons with the Cleveland Browns. And he was truly a one-of-one kind of player. G, do you think that Nick Chubb was robbed of a future Hall of Fame career when Minkah Fitzpatrick delivered that hit on his left, or I forget which knee it was, left knee, right knee, whatever knee it was, early in the 2023 season?
Nick Chubb was going to have to, we talked about this before. If you can look up some of the comparable guys, right? So if you look at a guy like Gale Sayers, whose career was cut short by injury, that's a benchmark of a guy who got in, but also was dynamic. He was a punt returner, caught the football out of the backfield. He did a lot of things. So Gale Sayers is kind of a bit of a benchmark. I think that his career was borderline, but to be honest with you, during that season, I thought he would have needed to at least put up 3 more seasons where he was at a production of 1,300 to 1,500 yards, closing in on double-digit touchdowns for him to get in that conversation. Just because of just when you look at the running back situation is in the Hall of Fame, you're looking at guys like Curtis Martin. You're looking at guys like Frank Gore. You got a lot of dudes that played a bunch of years, and they just accumulated a bunch of yards. I think he would have needed to be kind of in the range of a guy like Gale Sayers. Roger Craig just got in, where they were dual guys and didn't have the numbers a lot of dudes had, but I think he would have had to have a couple more years. So it's hard to say that hit really took him out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely shortened his career by probably 4 years.
Yeah, it did.
You know what I mean? It was such a devastating injury, and he was just off to a good start. And man, what a great player. What a great teammate. Like, just one of those players that you really wish you had 11 of on each side of the football, like with that mentality. And I truly think that he loved the Browns more than probably any player we've seen. You know, Joel Bitonio, Joe Thomas, Nick Chubb, those guys come to mind when you think about like the new era of the Browns and the guys that have been here and played a long time and really embodied what the city believes and feels and blue collar, like just lunch pail guy. I mean, truly the best. It's unfortunate. He had a great career though. He did, play 8 seasons. Not going to be a Hall of Famer obviously because his career was cut short, but boy, was sure on his way. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but what a great guy. It also makes me feel very old because I was telling you during the break, I did a Georgia game in 2017 and he was playing at Georgia.
That's great.
And now it seems like just like that. Yep. And now he's retired.
And now he's done. Yeah, it goes to show you. Jason Lloyd, for me, man, you mentioned a lot of people don't understand what the Browns fan base has gone through. A lot of times people just, some of the people, this is why it's personal. Because we just talked about last segment about, the fans being upset. The Browns was bad for a long time to get players like Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Baker Mayfield was the first overall pick. They got those guys, and they had at one point was on the precipice. It looked like they were going to be a team that were going to be a perennial power in the AFC. And you wake up, and guys like Nick Chubb are injured, retired. Guys like Myles Garrett are traded. It just goes to show you why the Browns is they feel a certain way, especially given that this was one of the best players, one of the best Cleveland Browns. And he absolutely, like Dustin said, did everything the right way.
100%.
Like if you show a picture of a football player, like if I had a sister, I ain't got no sisters. I'm like, yo, definitely be with Nick Chubb. Like, hey, dap him up. You come to the family reunion. That's how much of a solid dude he was.
Right.
Before the injury through 2022, he had like 6,300 yards through his age 27 season. So if you get to 10,000, you're in the conversation.
Yep.
If you get to 12,000, you're probably a pretty serious candidate for the Hall. So he was only about halfway there. But without that injury, 2 or 3 good years away, we can start having a legitimate conversation about whether or not he's a Hall of Famer. But it's, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that core that they had underachieved. And it underachieved because of Deshaun and what happened at the quarterback position. So as they sort of try and put this thing back together again with Quinshon and with Jared Verse and with Schlesinger and with Mason Graham, Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion. Like, don't do it again, guys. You know, like, you have something good here. It feels sort of like 2018 when you had Miles and you had Denzel and you had Wyatt and you had Bitonio and you had this young group of guys who were kind of coming up together and kind of figuring it out. And it just goes to show you that they've got to get the quarterback thing right, or else everything else they've built doesn't matter. Right.
I want to get back to that in 1 second, but you said something that I had to address. Chubb was at, what'd you say, 6,000 yards at the time of the injury?
6,300 through the 2022 season.
The last 3 years, or the last 4 years that Chubb played, 996 yards, 2019, 1,494 yards, 2020 dipped down to just 1,067, 2021, 1,259, and then had his best season of his career in 2022 with 1,525 yards and 12 touchdowns. There was no indication or inkling of him slowing down at the time of the injury, and that's why I do think he had a chance to reach the numbers that you alluded to, Jason, which put him in the conversation. And not to spoil a trivia question later, but he was one of the most efficient on a per-carry basis backs in the history of the league. One of a very few to average over 5 yards per carry for the entirety of his career. He never went down on first contact. And you look at a guy like Derrick Henry, and even LeBron in another sport, guys with the modern technology and the health advancements we've made as a society, we're able to play longer and longer and longer and longer. And running backs, for the most part, are kind of the outlier in that circumstance. But Derrick Henry's right in that conversation, still playing at an incredibly high level. If Nick Chubb put up 1,525 yards and 12 tutties in 2022, there's no reason he wasn't going to put up 1,300 to 1,600 yards in 2023 and 2024 and 2025 in an offense that didn't have a quarterback and was going to run the ball a ton. It's not possible to say he was a surefire lock to be the Hall of Famer just because of how hard it is for the running back position to get into the Hall of Fame, and with all the uncertainty of the injuries, etc. But he certainly was on a path and showed no signs of slowing down before that Minkah Fitzpatrick hit in week 2 of the 2023 season.
And let's not forget, so he had 2 catastrophic knee injuries.
Yeah, one in Georgia too.
Nerve damage.
Yeah.
In the hit with Georgia. Comes back, gets the hit from Minkah Fitzpatrick in Pittsburgh. Nerve damage. I'm talking like, we watch, to this day, Tyreek Hill talked about how he just has no power in his leg because once those nerves go,
right,
you can deal with knee stuff and cartilage and tendons and ligaments, but when you start playing around with nerves and quick twitch muscles, things just don't come back the same way they did. But he was on a trajectory. And speaking of Derrick Henry, it's kind of crazy. I was looking at it and I was telling my peoples, I said, listen, Derrick Henry might have one of the greatest careers at every level. If you look at Derrick Henry's high school stats, he was like rushing for 10,000.
Insane. He finally has more NFL rushing yards than he has high school rushing yards, and he only played 4 years of high school football.
He ran for 2,000 yards at Alabama. He ran for 2,000 yards in the league. And he rushed for more yards than anybody I've ever seen in high school. The dude, Derrick Henry, is crazy. By the time he's done, how many yards he had last year? Didn't he have like 1,200 last year?
Derrick Henry, give me one.
I mean, over 1,000 for sure. It was more than that, actually.
It might have been
Derrick
more.
had 1,600 yards.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Listen, Derrick Henry.
In 2024, Derrick Henry had 1,921 yards. In 2025, he had 1,595. He had more yards last year than Nick Chubb ever had in one season.
Yeah, bro.
And he's 31 years old.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry is a Hall of Famer.
He
for
walking.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
First ballot.
Walking.
Sure.
He got enough Hall of Fame votes that he could give them to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, let me.
Yeah, he could give a couple years of his career to somebody else,
and be like, still be in.
His resume's
like,
still good.
That's. I can't believe he had that many yards. That's crazy. But no, Nick Chubb. Hopefully Nick Chubb will be around the facility. He's one of them dudes that you'll look up, and it's sad because the way he lives his life, you'll look up and he'll just be off the grid.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna live.
You'll never see him.
He'll live off the grid in some like farm in Georgia, and he'll be out there pushing sleds and doing stuff just to stay in shape. He might not have a cell phone. He might not have a cell phone.
Flip phone.
You're definitely never hearing from Nick Chubb. And like it might be one, like even when they do reunions, like they'll do a reunion of getting everybody together from that time period. He'll be
hard to find.
He'll be hard to find. Hey, has anybody got Nick's number? Nah, dog, I don't. You know what I'm saying? I call Stump Mitchell or something, bro. See what Stump doing.
Dude, it's funny. There's always a guy like that. I mean, Chris Gamble was the guy for us. So we
just gone.
Just
off the grid.
Does his own thing.
Like it's just
we know he's alive.
That's the thing. As long as I watch out for certain people, as long as
There's only a couple people that have the pipeline to him.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of them.
And so in that number, it's a bunch of people that you're like, oh, bro, what happened to so and something? I don't even know. They'll be like, man, you know it's messed up. I see G. Bush every day, and I still don't got a pipeline to him. I'm better at answering text messages though. I'm better at doing that.